Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah alladhi khalaqa al-insana fi ahsani taqwim wa ba'atha nabiyina mubashirin wa mundirin wa anzala ma'ahum al-kitaba bil-haqq liyursilu an-nasa ila sabili al-huda wa yukhrijuhum min al-dhulumati ila an-nur. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna sayyidina Muhammad abduhu wa rasuluhu amma ba'd. Ya ibadallah wa usikum bi nafsi awala bataqullahi ta'ala wa ta'ala. That is to say, all praise, all majesty, all exaltation is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created us fi ahsani taqwim, the best mold and structure, created us in excellence, not in sin and rancor, but created us in this amazing format so that we can learn from our mistakes. And he knew that we would make mistakes. So he sent prophets as bringers of good news and a warning. Good news of the Jannah for those who believe and work righteous deeds, and the warning of Jahannam, the fire whose fuel is men and stone, for those who are disbelieving and are arrogant, haughty, and just selfish throughout the land. I openly bear witness to testify that there is nothing in normal worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No law known, he has no partners and no associates. I also bear witness to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his slave servant and messenger. What follows thereafter that excellent salutation, I advise you, my dear brothers and sisters, as well as I advise myself, to have the proper taqwa, the proper regard, the proper respect for Allah, and to obey Him. And my dear believers, just want to share a few reflections today. I know one of the big topics that's going on, and has been going on for a while now, is artificial intelligence. You know, people being afraid that it's going to take over our lives, replace my job. You know, as an engineer and a scientist, I don't fear technology or its advances. I feel like it's a tool, that man created this tool. But I also, the other thing that sticks with me is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us bi ahsani taqwim. He created us in the best mold and structure. He created us superior to all the other animals. We're the only ones who were given guardianship over the earth. We're the only ones who can control our environment. We were blessed, that, so much so that our progenitor, Adam alayhi salam, all of creation, the most powerful things in creation, the angels were required to bow down to the intellect and the intelligence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed within that, our Father, our progenitor. So there is something that makes us special. We have a natural curiosity when we love to see our children run around and creating and getting into everything. They just have this natural desire to learn and to grow from their environment, to learn and be better than they were yesterday. And this is due to the fitrah, the pattern that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us upon. And to show you how amazing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, did you know that the top 4 ingredients in your body, the top 4 atoms, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen, just those 4 atoms, those are the same top 4 chemically active components that are in everything throughout the entire universe. Again, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen. We live in a universe, and the universe truly lives within us. We're special because we are all from the same elements that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just combined them slightly different. Isn't that just the nature of DNA as well? That our DNA, we all have DNA, we all have this pattern that we were designed upon, and it's just these little minor tweaks that make us tall or short, fat or skinny, make us better able to jump or better able to do math. It's just these little tweaks and differences. So once we acknowledge that the world and the universe were designed for us, and that the beauty of the stars and how they rotate, the beauty of the stars as they exist, and how the moon rotates around the earth, and the earth rotates around the sun, and all of this was to show us, just like it showed our other father, Ibrahim, alayhi salam, how when he studied the sun, the moon, and the stars, and he came to the conclusion of Tawheed, he came to the conclusion that he didn't want to worship any of those elements of creation. Even as great as the sun was, he didn't want to worship the sun, he wanted to worship the one who created it. That if Allah created us this perfectly and the whole of creation was designed to be of service to us for our use, then my brothers and sisters, why are we not acting like we're in charge and authorized to act on behalf of Allah in the Allah's plan for us on this earth? I say sometimes some of the reasons why we don't feel like we have that authority, some of the reasons why we don't act on the natural excellence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us in is because when we try to do something, it doesn't quite work out the way we want. My mama used to say, man makes a plan and Allah makes a plan, and verily Allah is the best of planners. It's a paraphrase of an ayat in Surah Rum. So sometimes we have to face hardships. And another person that I want to quote here is Mike Tyson, who paraphrased Joe Louis. He says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So what do we do when we get punched in the face? What do we do when that something doesn't go the way we want it to? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides us signs. And one of the signs he said is that he created us like a plant. And if you know anything about plants, especially trees in the forest, sometimes they need a good cleansing fire. Some plants become stronger, better, healthier after they go through some tough times. You know, I'm from Miami in Florida, and we have orange trees in the back. And again, my mom always used to say that the orange trees were better. They were sweeter when we had a little cold snap. You know, just enough. So whatever oranges made it through that cold snap, they just tasted so much better after having gone through that struggle. You know, if you look at blackberries, blueberries, oak trees, they all respond vigorously to fire. A fire that clears away all those invasive species and pest species. And the remains of those burned up plants nourish the soil and fuel the growth of the trees and the plants that were destined to be there, that were native to that area. How many of us are surrounded by invasive species? How many of us are surrounded by pest species? How many of us have even evasive thoughts that are always surrounding us? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might need to send a fire to help get rid of all of those impediments to your path. And I don't think it's an accident Then when we find ourselves surrounded by these invasive species and thoughts, and they're popping up in all these places where they don't belong, when the stuff hits the fan, they ain't nowhere to be seen. Or, you have those people that hype you up. When you say, yeah, I got your back, yeah, go ahead. And you get hit in the face, and they got your back way back. So sometimes we have to go through the fire, my dear brothers and sisters, for us to get rid of that dead weight. We have to go through that fire, those tests and those trials, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make us better, stronger, healthier on the other side of things. And it is only out of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love that he puts us through those tough times. Because if he didn't love us, if he didn't want us to be better, didn't want us to be stronger for going through that, he just let us do what we want. And so we'll talk about how, in the second half of this Khutbah, how we can fight that fear of losing, that fear of being inadequate, how we can fight that fire with F-I-R-E. Y'all know I like to do these acronyms. So we want to fight that fire with F-I-R-E. And F-I-R-E stands for having faith, introspection, recognition, and education. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, as we close this first half, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to be uslim in the best mode instructor. May he guide us to what is best for us and help us to stay far away from those things that are displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May he correct our thoughts and our steps, and if he puts us through the challenge, may he not put us a burden that is greater for us than we can bear. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. So when we are faced with challenges, when we're faced with adversity, when we're faced with challenges, when we're faced with adversity, sometimes we don't step up. We don't challenge them. We don't fight them in the same way that we do because we feel like we don't have something to offer. And that's just, again, that's a lie. And so one of the reasons why we don't step up is not just because we go through adversity or trial, but it's because somebody is whispering in our ear. It's because Shaitan, this world of Shaitan's influence is attacking our self-confidence and our self-esteem, trying to bring us down. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us Khalifa bil Ard, the caretakers of the entire earth. We are the only creatures on earth that can change our environment and surroundings, and we can cause the proliferation or the extinction of a species. That's awesome power, because we are in control. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us here in this guardianship role. So each of us has a role to play in the leadership and governance of this earth, whether it be for everything around us or just our household or just our person. Shaitan is still trying to come at us from all sides, even when we're trying to work and provide for our families. Shaitan wants to call us or make us feel like we're imposters. They have this thing called imposter syndrome. It's the condition of feeling anxious and always a failure internally, despite being high performing in externally and in objective ways. This condition often results in people feeling like a phony or a fraud and doubting their abilities. And the crazy part, because I know sometimes I suffer from it too. It's something that hits us all in different places and different times. But we should know that it's a lie, because who are we not to be great? Weren't we created for uslim? Who are we not to be excellent? Who are we not to be able to exceed expectations? And even if I didn't meet expectations this time, does it mean that I'm incapable of learning and doing better the next time? So we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended for us to be exactly what we are today. So nobody else's opinion should matter about who it is we are and how well we are. So my tool again that I developed to give you a spark, to help you move through the fire, is the acronym FIRE. Faith, introspection, recognition, and education. We're going to start with faith. Everything starts with faith. Our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should help us feel empowered to do anything, because Allah is in charge and in control of everything. And we trust the source. Now, if you want help on your math homework, is it better for you to ask the person next to you or ask the math teacher? You want to know the source, who's developing the test. I want to get it from the person who's going to be challenging, who's going to be testing. And some may say that we should be humble and not be, and that is very true. We should always be humble. We should always give credit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything that we've done. But having confidence and self-confidence, and it's not the opposite of tawakkul, having that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. Having trust in yourself doesn't mean you don't trust Allah, or vice versa. Actually, tawakkul is the source of true, healthy self-confidence. Let me give you an example. How does a child develop confidence to walk? First, the mother helps the child to stand up, holding her hands. Then she lets go and moves a few steps back and calls the child to come to her. The child is unsure whether he can make it or not, but he sees that smile. Come on, you can do it. Come on. And then, you can just see the wheels working in that child. It's like, if mommy thinks I can do it, I must be able to do it. Let me, all right. And then they start doing it. And it's just so amazing. And they're like, yeah, and they take off. Soon the child has gained enough confidence in his ability to balance his body. He's walking all over the house and running and pulling down stuff. And now you got to, childproof every place that you ever had in the house. But if he didn't trust the mother, imagine how long it would take for him to learn how to walk. If he didn't have that trust, he didn't have that little sense of encouragement. So tawakkul is having confidence in Allah. And Allah says in the Quran that you will be a loser unless you advise others in the mutual teaching of truth and you advise others in the mutual teaching of faith and constancy. And he also says to us that he will not give you anything beyond your capacity. So do you have confidence in Allah? If you have that trust in Allah, then you should have confidence in yourself. I is for introspection. And introspection is just doing an honest self-assessment. Just actually looking at yourself and seeing those areas that you're good at, those things that you excel at, and those things that you might need to work on. There's nowhere, and there's no negative self-talk. This is not a time for you to say, I failed at this, I failed at that. No, this is the opportunity for you to improve. This is something that I'm not strong in, so I have to study more here. I have to spend more time doing this so that I can bring that up, so I can be at the level that I want to be. Knowing what you already do well is a confidence booster. So when you recognize what it is you don't do well, you should just start making plans. You should start trying to figure out ways to get those skills to educate yourself. And then the R is for recognition. And that's just simply recognizing your accomplishments. The first is the big step that you make. How many times have you been through the fire before? How many times have you been put on, you've been put out the pasture? You felt inadequate, but you still were able to make it. How many times were you weren't sure you would succeed, and you succeeded anyway? There are beautiful surahs in the Quran that give us this guide that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds even Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, did not find you an orphan and give you shelter. Didn't I guide you wandering and give you direction? To just remember those times when you went through the struggle and you went through the trial and you came out the other side. And if you went through those and made it through those, then inshallah, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, you can make it through the next one. You can make it through the trials that you're fighting right now. Let your history be your guide. And if you internalize that if I got through the past, I can get through the future, then that gives you an attitude of success. It gives you also an attitude of gratitude for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for helping you to get there. And that attitude can determine your altitude and how far you can go. And the third is the education. Introspection. When you're looking deep inside yourself, you're identifying those gaps, those areas where you need to improve. And education is coming up with a plan to fill those gaps. This is where you learn and practice those new skills. This is where you seek guidance from a mentor to help you in those areas you've identified for improvement. This is where you seek help. This is where you use your village, your shura. This is where you seek help from those who are qualified to help you. You don't just seek help from anybody, but you want to seek help from those who are qualified. And you educate yourself. In one of the beautiful examples of this, my children were going through an Arabic competition, a Quranic competition, and they each had to learn a certain number of surahs. A certain number of ayats of the surah that they were assigned, and made them practice every day, a little bit every day, to get better and better and better. And my youngest said that he was nervous about having to compete, and his mom reminded him that, didn't you practice over and over and over? You know, do you feel like you know 1 through 11? It's like, yeah, I do. Do you feel like you know 12? It's like, no, I don't feel like I know 12. But I can do 1 through 11. You know that competence builds confidence. Feeling like you know what it is that you're doing gives you the confidence to do what it is you want to do. And the more you know, the more confident you will be in whatever it is that you're trying to do. So again, these tools that we talked about to fire, faith, introspection, recognition, and education, we got to use these tools every day. Even if we don't use them all at the same time, even if it's just one little aspect of it, but practice makes perfect. And I remind you, my dear brothers and sisters, as well as I remind myself, because this community is in need of the tall trees and the shade that comes from those of us who have bloomed and blossomed and grown, who have been deeply rooted in the earth and who have gone through the fire a couple of times and have grown up and have many rings if we were to cut them open. We need that experience. We need that wisdom. We need that shade that their experience provides. We need the fragrance of the beautiful flowers and the beauty of seeing beautiful arrangements that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has from all the different plants and all the different kinds of plants and the wildflowers and everything else. We need you to share your gifts. We need our youth to share their hopes and dreams and disappointments. We need our pioneers to share their trials and their triumphs. We all have a role to play because we are losing generations, my dear brothers and sisters. Because we are not connecting, because we're missing something, and it's because we have to do everything we can to make sure that we reach back, to make sure that we reach out, to make sure that we connect. And one of the most awesome ways that we can connect is sharing our stories and being in the place. Because this is a community, and just one of the amazing things that Imam Muhammad said, he said, and just like plants start with the seed and develops itself upon a stem and later produces a beautiful design or symmetry or production, and oftentimes produces something useful to other life seeds or fruits that life feeds upon, including human beings, or beauty that the human fold feeds upon. It's giving something. So again, he was speaking to the fact that the core of our creation, our perfect design as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, is not just to live, but for us to live unselfishly. When plants are planted, and we plant trees and we put trees in the ground, they take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen, and that oxygen is given freely. That oxygen is given to promote other aspects of the creation. And when bees and flowers have pollen there, those are food for the different insects. That the plant kingdom is the backbone of our environment. Is the backbone of our our ecosystem, for lack of a word. It's a part of the grand design that if we didn't have plants, then we'd stop being. If they didn't give so freely, we weren't able to harvest our crops, we wouldn't be able to feed ourselves. So, my brothers and sisters, even if what you believe is worthless, even if what you believe you have is worthless, what you believe that you have is not fit to be shared, you know, there's a common colloquial saying they say about people that they feel like are not useful, people that they feel like should be put aside, people that they feel like shouldn't be, don't have a value in this life. And the quote is, they tried to bury us, but they didn't know what we received. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us, protect us, nurture us, and involve us to be the best human beings that we can be. Oh Allah, we cannot manage this life ourselves without you. Please make of our lives what you want it to be, what you prefer it to be. Do not allow us to act on our own, but bless us that only in obedience and according to your will. Help us to be of those who hear and obey. Forgive us. We're asking your forgiveness and to use return. And keep us alive.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat, hayya ala falah, qarqam intisrak, qarqam intisrat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Feet to feet, shoulder to shoulder. We still got room in the front row. So anybody. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا.
Allahu Akbar.
سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
Allahu Akbar.
الله أكبر.
Allahu Akbar.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Just a few brief announcements. First and foremost, please give generously in Zakat. We are in need of your Zakat, and it goes to not only help the masjid, but to support all of our initiatives, one of which will be our youth field day this coming Sunday, and I'm trying to find the time. Youth field day this coming Sunday from 1:30 to 5. Looking for youth ages 17 and under to come out and have a good time, and come out and enjoy. Again, we want to create this environment. So we'll continue to have things and programs. This one happens to just be focused on the youth. But the last month, we had parents, and it was a kind of multi-generational approach. We're trying to make sure that we capture and connect with all of the aspects of our community. So we're trying to make sure we serve the whole human being. We have an amazing conference coming up in February that is going to cater to our spiritual needs from a Black history perspective and a historical perspective. So be on the lookout for more information about that. Please support our vendors next door. And any other announcements? Dinners. So excellent meals next door. So please get you one today for the low price of $12. You get an awesome meal that you can buy one, buy two. Feed somebody else if you don't, if you can't. I mean, it's a great meal and supports the masjid as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.